Did you know that this variant of Ant-Man is actually a promo art for the 2015 Ant-Man movie? It was showcased at Comic-Con 2014 as a concept illustration of Ant-Man's costume and the film's actors, Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas. Speaking of Ant-Man, there's also this version where Scott Lang is actually checking out a photo of the murdered Watcher. This image is actually the cover of Original Sin number 6, the series where the heroes are investigating Uatu's sudden death. Did you know that this version of Captain America is from the final page of Captain America number 698, 2018, where Cap says,
"We're going to take our country back."
That's because this story has Steve Rogers waking up in 2025 post-apocalyptic America after being frozen again. Fun fact, in the full image of this variant, Cap and his SHIELD team are standing inside an inflatable boat. You might not have noticed, but there's a huge skull in the background of this Doctor Strange image. Also, did you know that in this version, Carnage is attacking a subway train full of people? This art is an alternate cover for Absolute Carnage number 1, along with these two variants. If you look closely at the stained glass behind Angel in this variant, you can spot the faces of Psylocke, Magneto, and Mystique. Speaking of Angel, in this version, which is the cover of Marvel's number 2 from 1994, you can see him rescuing a little mutant girl from an angry crowd. Did you know that these two variants of Deadpool are alternate covers for the same comic, Deadpool number 1, 2018? And in this Black Swan variant, you can see the entire Black Order in the background. By the way, this art is an alternate cover for Black Order number 1, 2018. The cover for issue number 5 of the series features another familiar image of Ebony Maw. Speaking of the Black Order, here's a mind-blowing fact. All the Black Order variants by In-Hyuk Lee are alternate covers for each of the 6 issues of the Infinity series from 2013. What's even crazier is that each subsequent art complements the previous one, forming one large illustration. In this version of Kyera, you'll spot not only Hulk in the background, and Iron Man's head, but also Black Bolt, Doctor Strange, Mr. Fantastic, The Thing, She-Hulk, and Sentry. They're probably all dead. In the background of this Colossus variant, you can see the massive hand of a destroyed Sentinel. And there's also a destroyed Sentinel in the background of this Domino variant. If you've ever looked at this Crystal variant and wondered who the heck that guy is on all the posters, here's your answer. This art is the cover of All New Inhumans number 2. The man is a brutal dictator of a small country called Si Kung, who calls himself the Commissar. The Inhumans team confronted him, just like the Avengers did with his father in Avengers number 18 in 1965. This variant of Captain Marvel actually has a second, variant. In this Echo variant, she's surrounded by a flock of tiny phoenixes. That's because this art is an alternate cover for Phoenix Song, Echo number 5, a solo series where Echo possesses the Phoenix Force. Did you know that this Devil Dino variant is the cover of Avenging Spider-Man number 15? You can spot a tiny monkey-like creature on Devil Dino's back. That's Moonboy. In the previous issue, Spider-Man and Moonboy were actually fighting each other. These two versions of Cable are covers of Cable number 1, 2020. And these two Black Knight variants are alternate covers for Black Knight, Curse of the Ebony Blade number 1. Also, one of the covers for the series features that painfully familiar art of Elsa Bloodstone. Did you know that this Elektra variant is a panel from Daredevil number 25, 2020, where Elektra is out on the streets dressed as Daredevil, who was in prison at the time? By the way, Nullified Daredevil is an alternate cover for the same issue. You can also see the real Daredevil in the background of this demonic variant of Elektra. This is actually the alternative cover of Daredevil number 6, 2022. And here's a different take on the Elektra variant. You probably missed it, but in this Dakin variant, Wolverine can be seen in the background. That's because this is the cover of Death of Wolverine, Logan Legacy number 5. These Cloak and Dagger variants by David Mack are actually paired and complement each other. Did you know that in this Enchantress variant, She's holding Hulk on a chain and surrounded by magical creatures. You can also spot the Hydra flag in the background of this Dr. Octopus variant. That's because this version of the character calls himself Superior Doc Ock, and at one point he joined Hydra and exterminated it later. This Gambit art is an alternate cover for all new X Factor #3, and you can see the rest of the team members on the cards he's holding. That's Quicksilver, Polaris, Warlock, Danger, and Cypher. Did you know that on this Forge variant, you can see the Marvel Snap logo and an image of Storm in Forge's room? There's so much cool stuff to discover in the baby variants. For example, did you know that Baby Doc Ock is actually the cover of The Amazing Spider-Man #30, where he's ripping apart the comics logo? Or that this Baby Ant-Man variant actually says something? If you know what it is, drop it in the comments. There's also a text bubble in the Baby Cable variant.
Gee, thanks. New clothes are way better than toys.
And Baby Professor X talks to various X-Men characters multiple times on the covers of the House of X series.
When we said keep genetic file on every version of all mutants, we kind of meant all, except Bone Claw Doggy Wolverine. What?
There's also a text bubble in the Baby Doctor Doom variant. You can even find a bunch of other Marvel heroes as toys in this version. Giganto is swimming among actual ships and whales because, well, he's gigantic. This Gladiator variant is a panel from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 5, Number 4. Besides Gladiator, you can see the rest of the Dark Guardians: Cosmic Ghost Rider, G-Type, Nebula, Plutonia, and Wraith. And by the way, Peter Quill dies at the end of this issue. You can see members of the Avengers and X-Men bowing down behind Hope Summers on this cover of What If, AVX #3. If you look closer at this Grandmaster art, you'll see playing cards with Captain America, Scarlet Witch, Rogue, Falcon, and, Electro. In the original art of this Hulk variant, you could actually see blood on his hands. This detail was removed in the game. The full art of this Human Torch variant looks like this. Here's versions for the other members of the Fantastic Four. And Doctor Doom. You can see polar bears on this Iceman variant. And you might have missed the real Iceman in this version. What you're seeing is Mecha Iceman, and Bobby himself is right here. It turns out that in this Ironheart variant, you can also spot Iron Man. This Juggernaut variant is actually the cover of Iceman Volume 3, Number 5, where Juggernaut shatters Bobby to pieces.
I'm the Juggernaut!
The art for this Kingpin variant originally had 3 different versions. 2 of them had a lot of blood. Kitty is phasing through Hulk's back in this variant. If you ever wondered why Kitty is dressed like a bride in this version, it's because this is the cover of X-Men Gold number 30, where she was supposed to marry Colossus, but she backed out. So in this issue, Gambit and Rogue ended up getting married instead. Hey, that's it for the first part of the secrets behind the Marvel Snap variants. Stick around for part 2.